See you there. Hello guys, today we're going to be reviewing a movie called A Beautiful Mind. So, A Beautiful Mind is a film based on the true story of Dr. John Forbes Nash, a mathematician who won a Nobel laureate in economics and his struggles against a mental health disease called schizophrenia. For those of you who don't know, schizophrenia is a very serious mental disease in which people interpret reality abnormally. They will see hallucinations, and it affects that person's ability to think, feel, and behave clearly. A Beautiful Mind features many talents including director Ron Howard, producer Brian Grazer, and many award-winning actors like Russell Crowe as John Nash, the main character, Ed Harris as Agent Parcher, and Jennifer Connelly as Alicia Nash. So people were very heavily stigmatized about mental health issues when this film first premiered in 2001. I mean, very stigmatized. So when this movie came out, their reaction was, pretty lackluster. However, it quickly became apparent to them that this movie is more than what it looks like on the surface. It's not just about mental health issues, schizophrenia. It's really good. Soon, people began to take notice, and this film would go on to win many awards like Academy Award, Golden Globes, Critics' Choice, and many others. The movie starts with an inspirational speech from a fictional character called Professor Hellinger. He tells the students about the importance of the mathematicians and their role as vanguards of democracy against the Soviets. This idea would go on to be a recurring theme in the story. Nash hates detail-oriented work, unlike his peers. That's why he prefers to search for a grand theory that he calls the governing dynamics. However, he kind of met a roadblock in the search and didn't manage to find the theory that he longed for in quite a long time. In the depths of his frustration, however, his roommate called Charles Herman manages to bring his spirits back up. And one day, whilst drinking with his friends, and this is one of my favorite scenes in this movie, he and his friends competes to get a date with this blonde girl, and then he just came up with this awesome theory of probability of how to best get a girl, and it became such an amazing theory until this day. It's still used in economics. It is insane, it's stupid, but it just works. I don't know, it's awesome. After graduating from Princeton University, Nash began working at MIT as a math professor and university lecturer. However, he has a double work as a military codebreaker. Challenges come when his secret work began to interfere with his daily life. This burden took a toll on his mental health, and that's when everything went wrong. So, as an avid fan of economics, I was so excited when I find this film, and I immediately decided to watch it right there and then. It would be very exciting for me to have this to be highlighted more, but it's a movie about mental health, and I'm still pretty satisfied with how they, portray that here. Now, the movie characters and scenes are simply incredible. It manages to relate its audience to this sort of alien disease that we don't often see. The characters' reaction felt genuinely real, and I deeply sympathized with them. It is also extremely feels-inducing. Of course, this thanks no less to the hands of director Ron Howard, who I greatly admire. However, it's not without its faults. And one of the things that I hate about this movie is they grossly oversimplified John Nash's character. In reality, John Nash is a complex character that is not just a mere shy and lovable and ambitious code breaker working for the sake of his nation. It's different. In fact, John Nash and many other scientists at his time kind of sympathetic to the Russian. In fact, John Nash himself actually tried to renounce his American citizenship in 1960. Besides that, I think that there is a scene in this movie that is very confusing for watchers, or at least it's very confusing to me when I watch it. This scene happens early on in the movie when Charles kicked Nash's desk out of the window of their dorm. The problem with this scene is that there's a certain revelation later on in the story that simply didn't connect with the scene. So there's all of these clues that is scattered around the movie that I think will lead to this conclusion, and it did, by the way, but just this scene alone makes me doubt my conclusion, because something just isn't supposed to happen that happened. It's just frustrating for me. Don't get me wrong, in and of itself, it is a good scene, and in fact, a major point of Nash's character development, but in correlation to the whole story, it is terribly flawed, I think. In contrast to that though, there are two scenes that I particularly like in this movie. The first one is the scene where Nash discovers the game theory. I've been raving about this scene since the start, but it's a really good scene. And the second one is near the end of the movie where there is this scene of Martin and Nash playing Othello from the start of the series, and they just remake it again at the end of it. But it just produces such a satisfying feeling for the audience, and it kind of manages to tie in all this story together into a very complete bunch. If there's one thing that this movie did well too, it is the delivery of mental health issues plaguing John Nash's career. Usually we see that films tend to put this part of someone's life into the sidelines, or even worse, they make it cringy and not relatable to the audience. However, this film is special. It manages to capture every single drop of attention from its viewers. When I was watching this film, I felt that, schizophrenia is very real, and it feels very close. Before I realized it, I was rooting hard for John Nash to make his recovery, get together again with his wife, or invent a new theory again. And this has been done in no expense to the supporting cast around him. Their decisions still felt logical, and moreover, their actions admirable. Overall, A Beautiful Mind is a must-watch for me. The plot is complex, and it delves deep into the nook and crannies of mental health issues, while still making it extremely enjoyable for its viewers. The characters are simplified from their real counterparts, sure, but they felt no less real and compelling to people who, unlike me, just watched the film and doesn't know the story of John Nash. The movie is jam-packed with countless life lessons, the most integral of which is to laugh. And it still manages to be funny. And honestly, I teared up during the ending of it. I highly recommend this movie for everybody to watch at home. It's an easy 8.5 out of 10 for me.